The sex comedy Road Trip is considered by many people a cult classic, and even 25 years later, this is still quite enjoyable, plus it's also hilarious as well. So the story of this one is that it follows a guy named Josh Parker, and he enlists 3 of his college buddies to embark on an 1800-mile quest to retrieve a sex tape that was mistakenly mailed to his girlfriend, Tiffany. I've always appreciated this over the years because while it is another cliche college movie, it has likable characters, plus it's just overall a fun cinematic experience. And this also reminds me of just how raunchy sex comedies were back then. With the slapstick, gross out humor while also poking fun at stereotypes, it's very familiar for anyone that has been to college. Is this one of my favorite comedies of all time? No, it isn't, but it is very entertaining. And it has a cool subplot for Kyle, who ends up becoming one of the most memorable characters in this film. Overall, while this is crass and juvenile, it is very funny and it still stands out even more than 2 decades later. I have to give credit to Todd Phillips, who is making his directorial debut here. The guy who will go on to direct the Hangover trilogy, Old School, and a few others. But as far as the characters are concerned, I think that Josh, he's the typical college guy. When he makes that sex tape with Beth and is mistakenly mailed to his long-distance girlfriend, he takes EL, Kyle, and Ruben. They go on this road trip, and a lot of crazy things do go down. I thought that Breckin Meyer did such a good job. And then there's Sean William Scott playing EL. You know, it was funny because he was typecast as Stifler during the time when American Pie had came out a year prior. Then there's Kyle, DJ Qualls making his big breakout role here. He's such an odd character. He's such a social outcast because of so much pressure from his father. But when he does go on this trip with these 3 other guys, it actually makes him a better person by the end of the film because he ends up with Rhonda, which I thought was quite something because he ends up falling in love with her. And that was a happy ending for that character. Then it was also the breakout role for Paolo Costanzo. I like Ruben. Sure, he's a stoner, but he's very intelligent. In fact, he's the one that had helped Josh pass his exam at the end of the movie. And just seeing these 4 guys going through all these escapades, this is like something that wouldn't be made today because there's a lot of raunchy moments throughout this film. Amy Smart does a good job playing Beth. She's a very cool character. She even has her own little adventure to Boston because that's where Barry told her where they went. But he's not that smart of a character. Speaking of which, Tom Green, I've never been a fan of his comedic antics. I mean, he does a weird thing such as put a mouse in his mouth. I'm like, what the hell? The antagonist, Jacob, he doesn't have much screen time here, but he is very stalkerish, but he does get his comeuppance at the end. And there's also Kyle's father, which I thought that the late Fred Ward, he did such a good job with the limited role that he had. I get it. He's a father. He thinks his son's in trouble. But that moment at the end where Kyle tells his father to shut up, I was like, man, that's some good character development. Because Kyle had finally stood up for himself just because of how strict his father is. At the end of the day, this is such an underrated classic. It still be talked about even all these years later. And this is also a movie I will go back to watch every few years because it's just that memorable in my opinion. I'm giving this film a 7 out of 10. Yeah, the story is enjoyable, it has some interesting characters, and the soundtrack has some cool songs. Now, this did get a sequel called Road Trip Beer Pong, but it follows completely new characters. I haven't seen it, but I did hear that it's pretty awful with only Kyle making a cameo appearance, which is quite unfortunate because it would have been nice to see Josh and his other friends go on another adventure, but it just wasn't meant to be. Nonetheless, this might not be one of the best movies out there. It's still quite entertaining despite some issues that it does have. And that's my review of Road Trip. Okay, leave your comments down below in the section and let me know what you think about this movie. Alright, this is Slim Guy 172 saying, peace out.